What's up everyone, it's Caddy with Moneyvest. So this is going to be a video going over some of our early project updates related to the Moneyvest platform. And the vision is very big for what this platform is eventually going to be over the next 12 to 24 months. We're going to be launching the beta on July 8th, and that date is for now the tentative date. We're doing a full data load with our data providers with the APIs. And if nothing breaks, if nothing, is going to cause any delays, then that is the date that is going to be set in stone, that we're going to be giving access to all the existing members for the Moneyvest platform. And really the whole idea behind this platform is this needs to be for investors by investors, right? So basically, I've been investing in the markets for over 11 years now, and I've used a lot of different services, a lot of different platforms, and I really wanted to build something that was fully customizable, very dynamic in terms of the way that you can spin up your analysis, and at the same time, you have full control over your analysis and your way of thinking, decision making. Well, what we're doing is giving you the tools and giving you the research, and at the end of the day, you can decide how to use it, how to make investment decisions, and also how to analyze from the beginning, right? So you can analyze it in a whole different ways, and we're just providing you the research and the analysis. And of course, there's going to be a component where we at Moneyvest, including myself and my team, are going to be offering our analysis and opinions as well. But really, at the end of the day, it's going to be a platform where you can do everything that you've wanted to do for analysis for individual stocks. And also, we're going to be taking feedback very seriously, because it's a technology platform and we want to continue to fix bugs and improve and iterate for our future upgrades. And for that reason, we're going to be launching a new feedback channel on our Discord where you can provide us, feedback. We're going to be providing you with an email where you can email to support if you have any ideas that you want to bring to our attention. And like I said, every idea will be reviewed and everything will eventually make its way to the platform where you have access to everything available out there when it comes to data, because there's so much data available out there. So in this video, I just wanted to go over some of the preliminary updates on what the platform is looking like right now, and eventually what it could be with future updates as well. So hope you all enjoy it. And again, if you have any questions, please do let me know. And again, links to our Discord is going to be down below if you want to join. Of course, access the beta here. There's about a few more spots left. Currently, we're offering a 51% discount. And this special pricing is going to be locked in for you forever, right? So all the future updates, all the new tools, all the new data, whatever we're adding onto the platform in our future updates, you will not be subject to the new pricing. But eventually we are going to be increasing the pricing because data is expensive. It's not cheap, and we're going to be paying a lot of money every single year to all the data providers that we're getting data from. So first things first, let's quickly go over the company overview. So this is going to be a very simple, very basic overview page where you can, take a look at the line chart, stock chart here, some key statistics, and then a much bigger table for the key stats for individual companies. So you know what, let's just go over to Apple just for the example here, because Apple obviously has much better numbers compared to some of the other companies. So again, you can, obviously access the chart. We've got the key stats over here and a much bigger key statistics table, which is essentially going to give you, again, some of the basic stuff like market cap, year-to-date return, the stock beta, enterprise value, shares outstanding. We got revenue on a trailing 12-month basis and the employee count. Then we've got margins, so gross margins, operating margins, net margins on a trailing 12-month basis for Apple. So all these are going to be listed out. Then we got efficiency, so we got return on assets, return on invested capital, return on equity, operating leverage, capex as a percentage of revenue, stock-based compensation as a percentage of free cash flows, revenue per employee, net income per employee. Then we got financial health, which is the most recent quarter, current ratio, quick ratio, cash to debt, net debt, debt to free cash flow, total assets over total liabilities. A lot of these multiples, a lot of these metrics that we like to analyze on the channel. So it's going to give you a nice quick overview of the entire business from those 5 categories, which are profitability, efficiency, valuation, financial health, and more importantly, growth as well. So growth is going to tell you the revenue, diluted EPS, and free cash flow, and shares outstanding. So those 4 things on a 3, 5, and a 10-year basis. So for example, revenue growth for 3 year for Apple has been 11.7% compounded. Diluted EPS 23%, free cash flow over 10.7%, shares outstanding have gone down by 3.38%, and the estimated forward EPS growth expected at 8.68%. Then we got some valuations. We got price to earnings, price to sales, free cash flow, operating cash flow, price to book, price to cash, enterprise value to EBITDA, enterprise value to sales. You can get all the multiples over here, and some dividends as well. Then we come to the fun stuff, which is going to be the Moneyvest metrics, and this is what we have built, and this is going to streamline and make it much quicker for you to analyze companies, because once again, we're going over to the 5 categories that we look at for every company, whether it's growth, profitability, efficiency, financial health, and valuation. So you click on see more, and it's going to bring you to this page, which is going to be the Moneyvest metrics. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually plot a lot of these things on the chart. So basically there's a whole charting section, so you can visualize a lot of these things on the charts here. So let's just go over to 3. So there's going to be a drop down 3, 5, 7, 10 years worth of research. So if you go to 7 years, now what we have here is the revenue, gross profit, operating income, net income, EBITDA, operating cash flow, free cash flow, earnings per share, and shares outstanding for the last 7 years for Apple. And more importantly, we've got the CAGR. So that's a compounded annual growth rate. It's going to give us an idea of, okay, how well all these things are growing. We've got the M score, which is, again, a calculation we've built. We're allocating, a specific number and how quality it is. And then, of course, a check mark is going to tell us whether it's slow growth, high growth, whether it's good, bad, so on and so forth. Like, for example, in the last 3 years, every single metric has been growing. Earnings per share is on a high growth basis because earnings per share has grown at 23% over the last 3 years, and shares outstanding have gone down by 3%. That's why it says very good over here. But if you come over to, let's say, the last 7 years, a lot of the things are growing slowly. So revenue, operating income, EBITDA, operating cash flow, free cash flow, they're growing, but not at a very high rate. They're growing at a much slower rate. So that's why it says slow growth. But again, shares outstanding still going down, which is very good. Margins have expanded, so gross margins, operating margins, net margins, everything's been on a rapid expansion here. Operating cash flow margins have been a little bit more stable. Free cash flow margins are seeing expansion, but not as significant as gross, operating, or net margins. Then you come over to efficiency table. Again, we've got efficient, highly efficient, stable, efficient, inefficient, things like that over here for efficiency. And then we got the financial health, and that essentially is going to be telling us, what's the cash situation, what's the debt situation. So for example, last 7 years, cash for Apple has been going down, so it's been worsening, and debt has been increasing a little bit. So again, it's a little bit of a trend analysis that essentially tells us how well the company's doing. And the cool thing is you can actually plot these things on the chart. So if I click on this, that's it. If I click on debt, that's it also, right? So you can come over here and you can now start looking at, okay, so the blue is the cash, and that has of course been going down over the years, and debt's been relatively stable. So the difference between these two has been diminishing, right, for Apple. And that can also be seen in the net debt. So if you come all the way down and let's say that you plot net debt over here, go back up, you can see that originally, of course, it was a lot more negative at a negative 153 billion back in 2017. And now that gap is minimizing a little bit. So you can see that it's now only negative $49.50 billion. Still negative, still very good, but something to keep in mind, because that's a trend analysis that you can actually do and understand that, okay, net debt is still negative, but it is not as negative as it was back in 2017. And then again, you got a lot of different multiples, like debt to free cash flow, for example. You can also plot current ratio over here. And again, you can see that over the last 7 years, debt to free cash flow has been coming down, which is a good thing, right? So their free cash flow is increasing, that means, relative to the debt. And then, of course, we got the current ratio that's been a little bit more fluctuating in and around those 1 levels as well. So just want to plot some other things very quickly. So let's just say that you want to plot revenue, net income, free cash flows, and then you also want to look at margins, operating margins, EBITDA margins, free cash flow margins, and let's just plot return on assets, return on invested capital as well. And now your chart looks really beautiful with a lot of different lines and different bar graphs that you can, again, visualize. And you can also change that to, let's say, 10 years. You want to look at 10 years, you can do that as well. And now you've got a whole 10-year worth of analysis for a lot of these different metrics that you can, again, customize, look at different charts, visually see what's the overall trend for revenue, growth, valuation, margins, whatever the case might be. So The thing that I really like the most is going to be the valuation piece. So let's say that I remove everything here. And if I come down and I want to take a look at the price to earnings, right? How well has that been doing over the last 7 years for Apple? You'll notice that 2020 is at 38, 2021, 30, 2022, 20, and then 2023, 30.87. So that, of course, was the big sell-off in 2022 during the bear market. And 2023, we're back up to over 30. And on average, it's traded about 20.86 on a 7-year basis. So if you come over here, you'll start to see that Apple in the past, back in 2014, was trading at a much lower P multiple. Then it skyrocketed in 2020, came down during the last couple years, and then it's back up to over 30, but trading much above its average of over 20 here. So again, very, very good sort of way to visualize the valuation here. And you can also take a look at price to sales, for example. Then you can also look at price to free cash flow if you want to plot that as well. Price to operating cash flow, and then this is going to be your entire valuation over the last 10 years for Apple. Again, you can customize this however you want. You can add whatever you want and add as many data points as you want also. Like if I start going absolutely crazy here and start including a lot of stuff, I don't want to say that, a lot of stuff here, so let's just include a lot of things, and this is what your chart's going to look like. It's going to see so many things that you can add on to the Moneyvest metrics and visually analyze. Same thing is going to happen with fundamental analysis. So right now what we have is the statements, so income statement, balance sheet, and the cash flows. And again, you can go crazy with adding revenue, gross profit. You can do this for 20 years worth of data, so not just 3, but you can actually go as much as 20 years worth of data. If the company has 20 years worth of data, there you go. You've got revenue and gross profit laid out in 20 years of bar charts. And then you can also add, let's say, operating income, earnings before taxes, net income. If I want to add, cash flows, free cash flows at the very bottom, let's include that. Then we got balance sheet. Let's just include total cash. Let's include total liabilities as well. Again, you can really start to go crazy. And this is the entire chart. Customizable, however many years, however many data points you can add, subtract, and visually see what that looks like. And then if you can also look at ratios. So ratios is going to be a little bit of an extension to the actual Moneyvest metrics, because Moneyvest metrics is about 60 to 70 metrics. Ratio is going to take a little bit step further. You're going to have more stuff to look at, and it's going to be more on a recent basis. Moneyvest metrics is more on an annual basis. Ratios is going to be more about the year-over-year growth, the trailing 12 months, and the most recent quarter numbers. So you can see the TTM for most items here for ratios for Apple, and it's going to be compared against its 5-year average, and it's going to tell you what's the difference for that company, for that stock, relative to its 5-year average. And in the future updates, we're going to be adding a peers sections where you can actually compare stocks with other stocks and using different metrics. So again, you can do a comparison analysis. You can do a comparable analysis with whatever stock you're analyzing with its peers in the same industry or even in different industries. So that's going to be in our future upgrades. And then of course we've got analyst estimates. That's going to tell you a little bit about the past 12 months and the next 12 months worth of forecast from Wall Street. What's the rating, buy, hold, sell? And then we've also got the consensus EPS expectations quarterly, annually. What is the expectations? And I've added a couple more columns with regards to year-over-year growth and CAGR. So in other words, from 2023 all the way through 2031, Apple is expected to grow earnings per share by a little bit over 4.82% annually. This is going to be for revenue, same exact story, year-over-year growth and CAGR, and the forward price to sales multiple. And then forward price to earnings multiple also expected to come down to under 21 by 2031 is if EPS continues to grow at that 4.8, almost 5% CAGR. And then finally, we approach the analyzer, which is going to be the stock analysis tool, where you can actually calculate intrinsic value, price targets, and whatnot. So right now, we've got a couple models, discounted cash flow and discounted earnings. Eventually, we're going to be adding enterprise value to EBITDA, discounted sales, and then different types of models specifically geared towards startups and companies that may not be generating a lot of free cash flow, revenue, or earnings. So you can have separate models for that as well. But let's just go over and calculate the discounted cash flow for Apple. So what it's going to do is going to populate the last year's worth of free cash flows for Apple. Just under $100 billion. On a 5-year basis, the compounded annual growth rate has been about 9.2%. And the terminal growth rate, which is after the year 5, what is going to be that growth rate? Discount rate of 12%, margin of safety. All these things are straight from our spreadsheets, right? These are things that we have used and calculated in our spreadsheets on our channel for a really long time. You can customize this. You can input whatever values you want. The last 5 years average has bought back, Apple has bought back shares on average by about negative 4.5%. So let's say that they're going to accelerate that number to, let's say, 5% over the next 5 years. Growth rate, let's say 10%. We apply a 3% terminal growth rate, 12% discount rate, 10% margin of safety. And then if you hit calculate, you're going to have a full breakdown of the verdict. Right now, Apple overvalued at these prices, and the fair value comes at about $114. And then you can come down, take a look at our sensitivity grid, as we have already shown you on our Excel, 114.79 with that growth rate and of course that terminal growth rate. And you can see how your estimates, if they changed, how your inputs, if they changed, what's going to be the fair value for Apple. You can do the same thing with discounted earnings multiple model. So again, if you hit autofill, it's going to populate those numbers from the previous years. So let's just plug in $97 billion in earnings. Let's analyze for 7 years, and let's just apply a growth rate of 12%. I think the share buyback is going to be much greater over the next 7 years of 5%. P multiple of, let's do 24, 12% discount rate, 10% margin of safety, hit calculate. And now we're looking at Apple being undervalued. And again, the current market price is different than what it is right now because this data is not updated. So you can see the last updated was May 24th. So eventually it's going to be all real-time data. But right now we're looking at $190 as the market price, even though that's not the correct market price as of today. But yeah, 195 is going to be the fair value. And this is going to be that sensitivity grid based on different P multiples and different growth rates as well for Apple. So that's what we have for now. But like I said, eventually there's going to be a macro dashboard where you can also look at, the S&P 500's fundamental and technical positioning, which is the bird's eye view of the entire market, the Moneyvest index, volatility analysis. There's also going to be institutional portfolios that you can keep track of. There's going to be insider transactions, insider ownership, institutional ownership, and a lot of really, really cool features and calculators and tools that we're going to be adding over on this platform where you can do a full detailed fundamental analysis on individual stocks. The most exciting one is going to be the comparable analysis, where you can analyze stocks in peers. So you can compare Apple to, let's say, the other FANG stocks or other stocks within the same industry. But that's where we are with the platform right now. And again, July is when we're doing the beta launch. If you want the early access and lock in that discounted pricing, link's going to be down below. And I promise we're going to deliver one of the best financial platforms out there, which you're going to use on an everyday basis to analyze and research and make high quality investing decisions. So link's going to be down below. We'd love to have you on board. And again, please do share feedback. I want to hear feedback from you in the comments. We've got a whole team ready to really just read through the feedback and your ideas and implement them on the website, because I really want this to be the best platform for you. This is what we're building for you. It's not for me. It's not for the other person. It's for you, people who are actually going to use it on a regular basis. So let me know if there's any feedback, any ideas you have, any critique that you want for me to take a look at, and we'll love to do that as well. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.